Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on what's the date? March 20th, 2024. We've got Alan Fleur. Yes, mine Fleur. I haven't called him that for a long time, but he hasn't been here for a long time till recently. He was here last time. Yes, mine Fleur. And Tommy Pistachio Alacio over at Palermo Roads. You know what? I checked out your YouTube channel, and your show gets more, like not a ton of views either, but 3 times as many as the Recruiting Animal show. So congratulations to you.
Thanks.
Okay. I got some interesting, Rich isn't here, but I was just reading a posting, and he answered this one, so I was going to save it for him, but I'll put it out to you guys. This woman recruiter has worked with a company since 2009. Okay, and last year she billed them $450,000. That's a lot of money. Okay, in my book, that's a lot of money.
That's a good year.
What?
That's a good year.
Yeah. She usually works. In fact, she always works with the president. But this time she was working with the chairman of the board, because she was placing a senior vice president of sales. Okay, so it turns out that the chairman has a son who also has a recruiting company, a software recruiting company. He had some problems, so this chairman asked the recruiter if she could help out his son. Now the problem is she didn't tell us exactly how. I just assumed that it was some kind of split, right? And not just consulting or something like that. So he ended up, she says it didn't go as planned. She ended up billing him for $10,000, and he doesn't want to pay. So he went and snitched to his daddy, the chairman of the board, and the chairman got on the phone with her and said, look, if you don't lay off my son, we're not going to do business with you anymore, and I'm going to badmouth you to everybody I know. Okay? So she says, nobody's going to respect me like that. I don't care if I don't do business with you or your son. Okay? I'm ready to walk away. And Super Richie Rich Rosen says, good for you. Let me read if I have here exactly what he said. He says, good for you. That kind of threat isn't going to get better over time. He says, I would have walked as well. $450,000 in exchange for 10. He says, yeah, okay. Now,
it's not the money, it's the threats.
There's something else going on.
Yeah, like I'm going to back up and say, why didn't she get more information? Like I would have, I would have had the understanding of what we were doing in the beginning, and not like, I didn't know it was a consultant. I didn't know this. And then I also agree with Rich, because no one's going to fucking threaten me. There's no amount of money. I'll go sell cars before I let someone talk to me like that. If that's how he talked to her.
Yeah, that's how he talked to her.
Yeah,
Alan, what was your take on that?
I just think there's unknowns in there. I agree with Tommy, but I think there's unknowns. I mean, who did or didn't communicate expectations up front? What were the expectations? Was this lady supposed to start doing splits with him, or help him find a job, or help him update his resume, or help point him in a networking direction?
He runs a firm. He's a recruiter.
What kind of firm does he run, Animal?
Software.
No, but how big? How many people?
Small. I don't know how many people.
And what did you need me to do for you? How do I need to help you? Right. What am I supposed to be doing?
That's the thing. She didn't tell us, and I just added before the show. I added a note. You know, what were you doing for him? Was it consulting? But my point is, $10,000. Who cares? 450 in 1 year? Who cares? Really? And I'm shocked at you, Tommy Pistachio. He's got one of his habitual
money is better than ego, but there's a line.
And here he is saying, no, he's going to talk to me like that.
There's a line to everything. Every single one of my statements has an exception to the rule. Every single one.
They don't mean anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's something we don't know. You don't have the whole. I mean, Animal, can you do?
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Yes, it does.
It absolutely is relevant.
Stop. I want you to stop doing this. Just like you post clickbait.
I
want
do
you to
not.
stop it.
Oh my God.
And I want you to say you would Jennifer, whoever it is, you need to provide more information about what's going on in this.
Yeah, she does, but it's irrelevant. $10,000 compared to $450.
There's after him attacking her like that, there's no idea that 450 is going to come again, right? Like, what type of relationship do you have where a client calls you up and says that to you?
Okay.
Like,
I'm
what
gonna
the
tell
fuck?
you.
Like,
I'm
who
going
talks
to
to
tell you,
people
I
like
don't care
that?
if it was $50,000. If she's making that kind of money from them every year,
Again, Adam, do you have it? You know, even if she does capitulate, is that the right word? Then how do you know that he's going to even give her the business? Like, who calls up a person and says that? I'm going to blackball you from the whole industry if you don't. My flip side would be you're attacking me over $10,000 after I've done what I've done for your company and brought you so many great people.
And also,
Look
look at the other side. What if he knows he's a bad father and he raised this entitled thing? We don't know.
Yeah, there's way too much information, but I'm not going to be attacked and blackmailed and what's the other word? Threatened, extorted. Extorted over 10 grand when I brought you 20 great employees that increased your business by tenfold, and you're going to fuck me over 10 grand?
that he could replace her with any other recruiter. That's what he actually said.
Go ahead, and I will rape and pillage your company. Every time someone quits, you're going to think, was it Tom Alascio that took them?
Okay, I can see we're not going to get any. For me, this is like
I'm pinging fucking Rich to come on.
Yeah, well, we'll get him next week, if not this time. But yeah, it's an open and shut case for me. You guys, I don't believe that you would do what you said you'd do. Okay, I didn't even think of that. But I the proof is in the pudding. I'll tell you right away, I would roll over immediately. Okay. And maybe that's not my best quality. I know I'm a chicken, a pussycat.
Look,
okay?
I always say money's better than ego, but you also don't get treated like, there's a when I use that term, it's more like, will you send out a candidate that turned down a job before, or will you work with a company that ghosted you or whatever? But if someone is threatening you, extorting you, blackmailing you, whatever you want to call it, no, that goes right out the fucking window.
Okay, I see your point. I don't agree with it at all. Not an inch.
That's fine. That's fine.
I agree that the chairman of the board, it sounds like he's a mental case. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't care. Also, don't forget, most of her work is with the president. She still has a relationship. Maybe she's just working with the chairman on this one search. Okay, it's not an ongoing thing with him. Okay, so do what you have to shut him up and get back to your normal routine. Moving on. Andy Elliott, the sales trainer, he says abuse is part of sales. You're going to get hit in the mouth. Don't complain. That's what you get paid for. I agree. Anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get your love.
Abuse, it's rejection. Right? I don't see failure as failure. I see it as the game I need to play to win. I mean, that's
okay. Well, we were just talking about a case of abuse with this chairman of the board. Okay. He was abusive. Okay. But there's lots of times they call up a candidate who's been, pestered by recruiters before, and they're really rude to them. Okay. Isn't that true? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you got to get used to it. You can't get really upset. Oh, I'm shattered. So and so said I was an idiot or whatever, right?
Well, you got to develop your skin, and you got to develop your experience and your maturity. And how do you do that?
How? Tell me.
Going through these things.
Yeah.
I think going through it is not enough. You have to understand this is how it is.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So I get cold calls all the time. I get a cold call from, I forget the bigger company. I didn't know this lady, but I knew her boss's boss. And so I'm like, hey, welcome to recruiting. She was a graduate of the Fashion Institute of Design Management, fell into recruiting. Okay, she'd been at this, whatever it is, for 6 months. I said, look, we're not using, here's how we operate. We spoke for about 15, 20 minutes. She seemed to be really interested in learning. I said, here's a couple of books. Here's a couple of places you should go. You want to call me again? Call me again. In 3 months, my answer will be the same. But if you want to, this is how I eliminate 98% of the people. I hang up. Half an hour later, her boss's boss calls me and says, "Hey, did you just talk with so-and-so?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, she said it was a pretty aggressive call." I'm like, "A pretty aggressive call? Here's what we discussed, Jennifer. Do you find that aggressive? We've known each other for years." "No." I said, "Then tell her to get used to something much worse than this or go back into fashion."
Okay, you know, that has a perfect segue into our good friend Donna Terrell.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I make a point of saying that everybody here says they believe that, you know, you could be an introvert and be a good recruiter, but no one here can name a good recruiter who's an introvert. So then Donna says, if I'm not mistaken, this was the context. She says, I know two women who are completely obnoxious and they both bill. I can't stand their voices. Okay. They're toxic, but they each bill $400,000 a year. Want to elaborate a bit on that, Donna? Or are you going to get in trouble for?
No, I won't get in trouble. I don't care. They whatever.
No, I don't want to put you in a bad
I don't
spot.
work with them. I don't work with them right now. So it's fine. I'll burn a bridge. It's fine. They know how I feel.
They come back saying that so-and-so, it doesn't compare to us. She can complain as much as she wants. We're the kings, queen.
All right, listen. Do you want to hear about them or not?
Yeah.
And they don't bill that much. They were getting that much commission, and that was working for an agency. So their billings were higher. And they were on two opposite ends of the spectrum. So one of them was super obnoxious and just like the kind that would not shut up. I don't know. She was so loud. We used to be in office together, and it was all I could do just to try to get her out of my ears. Very grating to me. But she did great. She called mostly salespeople. They clicked, and she did awesome. And then the other one was like just really sweet, and she'd say like, I'm your Sherpa, I'll walk you through the process. Just as annoying to me on the other end, but it worked. So like the people who she talked to loved her, and I know they did because I was the account manager for some of the clients, so I would work with her candidates, and so I would hear the candidates' feedback, and they loved her. And that's why I just say, whoever you are, just be that, because you're going to connect with some people, and you know it's not going to be the same people the other person connects with, and that's what makes it an interesting business. So just be who you are, be authentic to yourself. Don't have a script when you're first learning, but then just learn what's natural for you, be that person, and that's how you're going to be successful. And if you're introverted and shy, you're going to have to get over that to make the calls, but you know that personality will resonate with someone.
Okay, there was an IT recruiter. She said, I will tell you the name of a very successful introverted recruiter. She said, myself. She said, I talk to people who are also introverts, and they don't like recruiters who want to have small talk. I guess they don't like people like our good friend Pistachio here talking about their favorite football team or something like that. I don't know. But they don't like, she says, they don't like small talk. She said, when I try to recruit salespeople, I strike out because they don't like talking to someone like me. I don't know if it's as black and white as that. Tommy recruits engineers, okay, but not IT engineers. So yeah. Anybody want to comment?
You know, the sales guys, Sage, she came up with a rebuttal that's basically, wait a second, you're a sales rep. You get told no every day, and you expect your clients or your potential clients to listen to your sales pitch. Why won't you listen to mine? A professional courtesy. Right, that has worked every single fucking time. She calls a sales guy that she'll say, "Hey, I'm a headhunter, got this great opportunity," and they, I'm not interested. Say, "Hey, wait a second, you're a sales guy, right?" Like, yeah, he goes, "Don't you do this all day long? If you want people to listen to your sales pitch, why won't you listen to mine?" And they got no rebuttal for that, right? And then I also want to flip to the introvert.
Let me ask. Hold on. Well, let me ask something. Is that because she's a? You know what? I'm gonna. This is always right. What if she was a guy? Would that work?
No, I started using it, so it works. No, she like
that's your daughter who does that?
Yeah, Sage, yeah. So it's the students become the teacher, right? Okay. The students become teacher. But I wanted to flip back to the introvert. There was a guy that worked in my office. His name was Jeff. When I worked at my old firm, he was an introvert. He was a math nerd. He was a teacher, and we brought him on board as like our research to do monster stuff and do some IT work because he was going to school he didn't want to be a teacher anymore. He hated kids and he wanted to get into like IT. And he saw how much money we're making and he asked if he could become a recruiter. This guy was an introvert. He was not super outgoing, and he did 500-600 grand 2 years in a row. And he just followed methodically what the management recruiter's training was to the T. And he followed the Finkel books to the T. He read the rebuttals to the T and succeeded kind of in spite of himself. And it actually made him more extroverted as he started doing this. So when I first met him, guy was a super introvert, nerdy guy. By the time he left the firm, he was a lot, not as outgoing as me, but more outgoing and a little more, personality wise. So yeah, that's an introvert that absolutely succeeded.
And I think you had the motivation, like he saw the money you were making, and so you had that motivation, because
Okay,
you have
take
to,
care, Al. Sorry.
Alan,
Yeah.
because you have to get over it. I mean, there is that, like my oldest son, rather, he's more introverted, and he tried a sales job, and there was not enough in it to motivate him to get over the hurdle and just follow the process. But if you can break that and you can just follow the process and know that it's a numbers game and learn it, then yeah, you can be successful.
Management recruiters always said, if you follow our training, you will succeed in spite of yourself.
Yeah.
They trained some guy who was a what's the politically correct term? A mentally deficient, right? He wasn't real bad, but you could tell he just wasn't
neurodivergent.
Yeah, but not, just not, he wasn't smart,
okay.
Right? He was dumb, right? The guy was dumb. And he followed the management recruiter's training, and he wasn't a big biller, but he made a nice living. The guy made 100 grand, 80 grand a year back in the, late 90s, because he listened to what they said and he followed it. He was a robot that followed the training.
Let's come back to what Donna said a few minutes ago. She said, learn the script to start off with, but then make it your own. So you have to express your own personality. You're talking about people who are using those scripts from Finkel. I mean, I don't know how an introvert could force himself to say those things. Okay, I really don't. So that's the opposite of what Donna
said. Money. If I say this, I'll make more money.
If you are shy, money will not do it unless somebody's got literally a gun to your head or to your kid's head or something like that.
Well, I don't know how you guys did it, but when I got trained, we got a script, but the very first thing we did was to slightly rewrite it to already be something we were more comfortable with in our voice. So we never read word for word what somebody's script was. So, I mean, I feel like that would be the first step, is if there's something weird. I don't know what your script is. I don't know that one. But if it's something weird that's totally unnatural, that would be the first thing you would change.
So I still remember sitting down and writing my first MPC script, and it was features and benefits, right? That's the boss, and my boss helped me write it, but it was in my tone, whatever it was. I felt comfortable about it, right? So the management recruiters was the same way. The script had a syllabus, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, that said you have to do this, this, and this, right? So yeah, and hi, my name's Tom. I'm wonderful. I'm great. I know you're busy. I'll be brief. Features, benefits, call to action, right? Whatever it was, and you wrote that way, right? So, and then we used to have a thing that said, earn the right to do things your way, do things our way, right? And then if you find something that works a little better, go ahead and do it. If you're succeeding and you tweak this to that we didn't think of, and yeah, fine, but earn the right to do things, fail our way first, and then earn the right to do things your way.
Okay, my point is that you can't mix oil and water very easily. Okay,
but occasionally you do.
if the script says, say, hi, my name's Tom, I'm great, most people are going to fall apart right there because they're not great, which makes me move into another. They're not. But also, Tom does not have, he likes to brag. Okay. He barely got out of high school. We know it's hyperbole. Okay. It's rhetoric. That's fine. I like it. It's funny. And it does drive a point home. He doesn't have a technical background. He's recruiting from the very start technical people. How could he tell them he's great? How could he represent how could he represent himself as somebody you should have confidence in? Okay, I'm a professional. I'm going to deliver value. Where do you get that kind of belief?
He's not representing himself as an engineer. He's not trying to be the person who's going to take their job. He's the one who understands the opportunities he's presenting to them. That's totally different.
No, I
And
don't see how
when
it
I
is.
started out, I was doing estimators and project managers, right? I stumbled into engineering and fake it till you make it, right? And if I had to be honest, I would say, hey, I'm working for a firm that's got 40 years experience. And while I may be new, no one's going to work harder for you than me because I have to succeed. And while I may not have the experience of 10 years of replacing people, I have 30 years of experience behind me, and you're going to have a guy that's stronger than new rope and will run through a brick wall for you. So why wouldn't you give me a chance?
That's true. I forgot about that. I did the same thing with my boss. So when I didn't have the confidence, I would reference my boss. Oh, I'm sure you know so and so, and he's been in the industry for years and knows, yeah, I would do the same thing. And so you kind of rode on the coattails of
everybody
else.
has to start somewhere. The first pilots couldn't fly planes, but they figured it out.
Here, I went to, I usually don't like going to conferences, but there was one downtown and I was asked to come, and I was also asked to lead a little track. I didn't want to, but I did. And there was a guy there who was a professional accountant, a chartered accountant, and he moved into recruiting. And he swore, I said, well, how would you guys rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on your ability? And this guy gave himself top marks. And the reason was, he said, I understand what the job is. If you tell me, I really understand it in depth. And when I look for people, I know exactly who to look for. When I talk to them, I can ask them all the good questions. You couldn't do that. Even now, you for some reason you think it would make sense. Well, I didn't get into engineers till later. I started with estimators and project managers. You'd never been one of those either.
I had
Those
no
are
idea what
complex
those terms
jobs.
meant.
Okay,
Yeah.
what, you didn't know anything.
All right, I want to push back on you, Animal.
I was what Rich also said. When he became a recruiter, he made his first placement in 10 days, and within 6 months, he was top biller in his office or along the Eastern Seaboard or something like that. And I wondered if he did the same thing, if that depended on him, or if he was using the survey, the knowledge that was behind him, because he was in a large recruiting firm at that time, right? So I wondered about that as well. He's not here. I can't ask him. Go ahead, Donna.
Well, okay. So 2 things. I was just talking to my son about this last night because I'm starting to train him as well. And so part of it is knowing the job, but and I think it depends on
which son
the
is the
field.
introvert and which is the extrovert. What's their name?
I'm talking to the extrovert, the baby. The baby wants to do it.
Baby. Okay.
The oldest I've told would be a great sorcerer, and I've talked to him about doing
Junior and
sorcery
senior.
work.
That's their names from now on.
Junior.
Okay.
Yeah. But so 2 things. So first, well, let's go back to what you said. Yes, with the company and writing the coattails and the company knowledge. So I was given a lot of keywords to listen for and to throw out there, and I didn't know what they meant, but I knew when I heard them, I needed to write them down, and I knew they matched the job.
You still come across as a dummy though, and as an
ignoramus. You don't, because I have these keywords. So I know as soon as someone says that they were doing ad boards, oh, tell me about your role in the ad boards, and I would know to, and have little prompts of what to say. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't tell you what an ad board was, but they didn't know.
A bit different. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know. But the second thing is, and this is what I was training my son on last night, there's an art to knowing as soon as you talk to someone in the first few minutes, if you're talking to, an A level, a B level, or a C level. And that's huge. Like once you can line up the experiences, just hearing in their voice, is this an A candidate, a B candidate? Like, what are they bringing to the table? And the faster you can be at sizing that up for whatever the job is, like, I feel like that gets you leaps and bounds ahead, because that was something I was good at really early on. And when I would present a candidate to my boss, he would ask A, B, or C. And that was something I could identify like that. And I noticed that people who were not progressing quickly, they didn't know. Like, they were just handing a data sheet. They got the information, but they couldn't decipher where that person would fall. And you knew
just from the sound of their voice, or with the facility they had in expressing what they did?
Both. It's everything. And depending on the role, like when I was doing things for client services, having that jazz hand feel to it, as long as they could also have the relevant experience, if they were able to carry themselves well, if they sounded confident, if they were personable and engaging, that's a great client service person.
What's jazz hands?
Jazz hands, making it like, you get excited, get people excited about things.
Okay, so you're sure that you weren't overreacting to superficial impression management?
It's not overreacting in client service roles, because that's what you have to be. You don't have to, but that's what most of the people have that are successful in those roles. So when you start to hear that, then that's a great, oh, this is going to be like, this person's going to interview well. And they have to have the chops to back it up. So remember, I'm listening for those keywords too. Have they done the ad boards? Do they have a Congress experience? Do they have blah, blah, blah,
I
blah,
wish
blah?
you had some business development experience to give us feedback on that, because it's different. You're saying, I'm taking on your search for a good person. I don't know anything. Okay. Isn't
You
that,
would
Tom?
never say that. Who would say that?
It's obvious. You don't know anything. You can't ask good questions
It's
or
not
anything like that.
obvious, because if you're asking the client good questions about what they need, and you're listening, and you're able to say it back to them and help them understand their pain points and all of that, you know,
You think they don't know that you don't know?
yes.
No, I think it's obvious from the questions you ask. Tommy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I learned too, was the ABC, whether it was on the client side or the candidate side. You had search assignments, POJOs, and can't helps, A, B, and C's. The same thing with candidates. They were, MPCs, they were POJO candidates, and they were can't help candidates, right? And that was how we were trained to make sure that you could recognize A, B, and C candidates and clients.
Okay. Here's a question kind of related. This guy, I was watching a YouTube short, and the guy said there's a big difference between he says a good salesperson never tries to convince anybody of anything. Okay. What she tries to do is give them the information that lets them discover it on their own. Those are the same two. There's no difference. Just use it. That's a bluff.
I mean, convince, sell, right? Convince or sell. It's the same thing. You're
And
presenting.
persuade. That means persuade by bringing forth information.
But it has to be in a way that is beneficial too. Like, you don't sell. I hate the term ice to an Eskimo. Eskimo doesn't eat ice, right? That's a bad sales guy, right? Like, an Eskimo does not eat ice. Why is that? Why do we use that as an analogy? Oh, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. Oh, so he's a fucking scammer? Excuse my French, right? That's a scam. You're selling ice to Eskimos is a scam. Selling, you want to sell someone something that they need, that's a value to them, whether it's an opportunity, a candidate, a car, whatever it is. But
when you're doing business development as a recruiter and you don't know anything about that person's industry, it's hard to assure them that, yeah, I can bring you great people, because you don't even know anything about their business. Okay.
I've had a track record of success finding good people for companies similar to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for my call is to see if we can help you do that as well. Oh, what are your qualifications, Tom? And then that's when we start talking. Okay. And I explain to him why I think I can benefit him and sell and convince and whatever terms you want to use to make him feel comfortable using our firm.
Okay.
But also understand that I help them.
Sorry, I have to be quiet. I have to watch myself. I already shut Donna up. Now I'm doing the same thing.
Can I help them? And like, the most important thing is I turn jobs down because I can't help them. I realize I cannot help that company.
Today, at this level, when you don't need more business necessarily, you can afford to do that. Okay. But when you're starting out, you can't. Okay.
But don't you think the thing I think that you say, Animal, and that's what pushes it too far, is that you don't know anything. You don't know anything about what they do. You don't have to have done the job to know what they're doing. And and again, like, I'm just going to be helping my son start out with the business development. So, okay, maybe I don't have a right to say it, but I feel like I don't have to have done the job to convince someone I can find the right people to do it. And I know enough about the industry, and I've been recruiting for the industry, and I haven't had a problem
the industry. My point is, I've told you before, I've gone out to companies face to face and sold, hey, we've done this, we've done that. And they say, look, you don't specialize in our business. I know lots of recruiters who do. And even if they liked us, I had a partner then, even if they liked us personally, and we had lots to chat about, no, they wouldn't give us their business. Okay. And I couldn't say, I know your business.
Very niche. Like, mine is very niche. So the people I would be approaching and the people I'll have my son approaching they're very narrow. So
okay, your son doesn't know anything. Okay. So
he will. I'm gonna teach him everything.
Okay, he's got a back office.
He's gonna be amazing.
Let me throw a scenario. If they made my industry illegal tomorrow and I had to move into food, right? I'm going to sell my expertise in recruiting people, understanding companies, all the things that I can transfer.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about your business, but I'm very good at what I do.
Yeah, Mr. Pistachio, I've got 10 recruiters calling me all the time who do specialize already in my business, and I know
have you
they
filled
know
your
my
positions?
business. What
Have
am I
they
going to
filled-
deal with
have
you
they filled?
for?
Have they filled your positions?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need another recruiter.
Well, if it was somebody
That's
really
great. No, that's
worthwhile,
great. No, I
maybe you
understand.
could convince me.
No, that's fine. I understand. I need a source anyway, so I'll find another client who needs help, and then I
not
know where
many
to find
people
people.
are going to threaten somebody like that. Talk about disrespect. Well, you missed the first conversation, Donna, about
Yeah.
So that no, but seriously, and right, you're right. If someone says I got 10 recruiters, then I'm going to move on.
they all
I'm
do.
not gonna, no, they don't all do.
Okay.
That's just it. They don't all do. Or if they did, we wouldn't have more recruiters coming into the industry all the time. Right?
Okay. Donna's on the inside, everybody, just in case you don't know. She's
right.
a past teacher. She's a very confident person, lower key than Mr. Pistachio, but very confident, I believe, all the same. And but she's she was in agency work, but she'd never been in business development, a little different. But so she's got experience recruiting internally and externally. Here's the question. This client, somebody sent out a most valuable or most placeable candidate, a very good candidate. They sent out an edited profile. So they didn't, the recruiter did not identify the person by name or company, just a list of what the experience is. Okay, David M. Morris here. And it's to a lawyer. The lawyer said, I'd like to interview this person. So the recruiter sent over a fee agreement. The lawyer said, I will sign this after the hire is done.
No, you won't. No, you won't. They'll
Yeah,
sign
we
it, or
don't
you
know.
won't see the candidate. End of story. I don't even know how. There's no
question.
Yeah, there's no question. Like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah?
it doesn't-
Well, there are. Okay,
I'll tell
Rich-
you what, Mr. Attorney, I want you to defend me, and then I'll sign your retainer agreement and pay you after I'm found not guilty.
Okay, well, Rich said that in Massachusetts, where he lives, he said you have to have a signed agreement. But lots of other people, one woman, a recruiter, said she went and asked her husband, who's a lawyer, and let's see if I have the term. It's
Implied. It's an implied contract if they agree, but you're talking about going after an attorney, right?
Right. Why would you do that? It's not a matter of what you have to do. It's a
well,
matter of
this
what's
guy said,
smart.
another
Why
recruiter
would you
said,
do
many
it?
of my best clients sign the agreement after the fact. I have clients who never signed agreements but pay every time. Okay.
And that is me. I have tons and tons of clients that have never signed an agreement. In fact, I used to tease.
And now you're telling other people not to work on those terms?
But I've never done what that person did, right? Like, it's very, very hard for me to explain. But what I would say, and this is what I said. First of all, I would never send a blind resume, right? But if I talk with a candidate, I will say to the client, look, I'm sending you my fee agreement. If you end up hiring this person, the fee's going to be $25,000. Are you going to pay my fee? Yes, I will. Then that's all and I send them the fee agreement. If they want to sign it and send it back, fine. That's me though, right? I've taken that chance. I own this company, and before my boss was the same way. He would get pissed at me, but I only got screwed twice in my 26 years, right? So, but to have someone actually say to you, I'm only going to sign it after the person hired, that's a red flag to me. That would be a big issue with me. Why are you waiting until the end? And it's an attorney, right? So I got some red flags there. That's why I'm like, whoa, no. Right? I'm coming into it from that person's point of view, not my point of view.
Okay, and Donna's on your side. What
Yeah, I
about
think
Dave?
so. I was surprised to hear that he's got unsigned agreements, but I mean, when we were in the agency, we only would wait till they were signed. I mean, so, but what will I do when it's me on my own someday? I don't know, but
Well, isn't your son working on his own, Junior?
he's going to. Yep.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
learning.
hiding him, so you have to make that decision for him right now.
To me,
I
it was a
do.
relationship thing. That I was like, I trust you. You told me you'll pay it. I trust you. You want to sign the fee agreement? Fine. Right? That was kind of like my selling point of when I was building my business. It was this handshake, right? The old days, right? Back in the old days, it's a handshake. We're going to do business together. But I never had anyone say to me, okay, we'll interview your candidate and we're not going to sign a fee agreement until after we hire him. Right? That never
Why
came
would
up.
the lawyer or any manager be afraid of signing a fee agreement that says you don't have to pay us unless you actually hire?
That's the red flag.
That's the red flag, right?
Yeah,
If they're
like-
telling
like,
you up front,
No one
we're
ever
not going
told
to
me
do
they would
it.
never sign it. I never had anyone say I won't sign this. I never just pressed for them to sign. I didn't care if they signed it. When they told me they would pay my fee, that was fine. If I got someone that said what he said, that would be a major red flag for me.
Okay. Now, David Amar is muted and he's probably working, but I'll just remind him since he hasn't been here for a while, just jump in if you want to. Okay.
I want to come back real quick. Just one question to ask you about the money is better than ego thing with that. Where's your line? If you want to keep working with us, you have to go on TikTok in a chicken suit and say, this company's great. This company's great.
Yeah,
Right?
I'll do
Where's
it.
the line?
$450,000 a year. Yeah.
Where's the line? Will you
Which
lick
I don't
their
have much
boots?
of a line.
Will you
I
lick their
told you,
boots?
Donna, what happened is
You know,
the woman deals primarily, she's dealt with this company since 2009. She deals with the president.
I read that about
Yeah, the guy
CEO or
threatened me.
whatever.
He says, if you charge my son for that,
I told my
10,000
husband that this morning. I was like, what a dummy. I shouldn't say that. She's not a dummy. I'm sure she's very smart. But I was like, why would you make an issue about $10,000 if you're getting $450,000 a year from them? Like, why would you make an
my
issue?
problem
So for
was,
me,
why didn't-
450
why didn't
is
she have
enough.
this worked out in the beginning? My problem was, why didn't she have this worked out in the beginning and then being threatened by the chairman of the board? That was my issue.
I think and if I got gypped that money from the kid, but I knew that the dad was, reigning supreme of this place where I got $450,000, I would just probably be more like, okay, I tried, this isn't working. Let's see if I can, back out from the kid. But I just can't imagine going after the kid. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't
Well,
have
yeah,
to
I don't
do
have
it.
enough.
Donna's
I don't
with
have
me.
enough
Thank
information.
you.
When was this posted?
Yesterday, this week, I don't know.
It was recent. I just read it this morning and I
Me
was
too.
just like, I don't know. $450,000. Why are you
Okay,
gonna?
you're with
Why?
me. It's a no question. It's a no-brainer.
I'm one of those guys though that like there's always a level. Like if you insult me and threaten me, that's where I
Here's
draw
the
the line.
thing, Don,
my
I
money's
will
better
reply
than
to
ego.
Donna, maybe the fact that she's so successful to make that kind of big money,
Yeah.
it's her personality is very forceful, and that's her weakness in this case as well. She can't back down, okay?
Maybe,
and
yeah, because
Just so
clearly
you
she knows
know,
what she's
Rich
doing.
told her he would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Tom says the same thing, okay? So there's people who are successful.
If you threaten me, yes. If you like say you're gonna trash my name and yada yada yada, that's what got me. You don't fucking threaten me, man. I'm Italian.
You expressed it already, okay?
And I
understand.
think for me it went back a step though, and I think you said this earlier. It went back a step. Like, how did you get that far? Like, how did you not think ahead that this is the guy's son? So how are you going to deal with this situation if you agree to take it on? So it goes back to that step. I don't know. Like if somebody
who
was
would
that
expect
ugly,
that you're going to
but-
have a problem getting paid from when you referred there to help the guy?
It's not that
paid
you
for
expect
what,
you're going
though?
to have
It's
a
like he didn't-
problem,
she didn't
but
even-
what do you do?
Yeah.
What do
What
you
is-
do
what is
once
the
the problem
point?
comes up and rears its ugly head? You're gonna go after, you're like a bulldog, you're gonna go after the son for $10,000. I mean, like that to me, that's the point where like, okay, whatever. But I don't know. If
Okay.
somebody came at me
Moving
like that guy
on,
did,
moving
but
on. Donna
still.
complimented me the other day that I make us move on. Okay.
I do.
There we go. Okay. Here's a recruiter.
I
The
do.
candidate lasted 11 months. Then the company fired the guy, and I don't know what if they wanted a guarantee honored or something like that. The problem, well, some recruiters give a 1-year guarantee, and the issue was it turned out the recruiter did not do what we used to call blind references. They called back channel. So the candidate gives you the past managers, and that happened in this case, and the candidate, and they checked references with the people the candidate gave them, but they didn't go out finding their own connections of people who'd worked with that person and did their own reference checks. They said the reason is that this person is a passive candidate. She's working with another company. If you go out talking to strangers, the word might get out that she's looking for a job. That's
Yep.
an
It's
issue.
illegal. The back channel references is illegal.
Depends where you are. I'm sure you've got 50 states. I'm sure they're not all the same.
Yeah, that is, you cannot, like, look, look, I'm not going to bet my reputation on it, but I would say 99% chance you cannot do back channel references on someone legally. Like you could call someone off the record and say, hey, what do you think of Mike? Is he any good? Yeah, he is, but he slept with the secretary. Hey, thanks, man. And then go to your boss and go, hey, turns out I did a little bit of thing. And but you can't tell anybody that. You can't go to the client and say, hey, we did some back channel references.
Somebody said I would do those kind of blind reference checks, but I wouldn't relay the information to the client. Well, what's the point? I mean, then it would affect his own assessment.
Then you as a recruiter can decide I'm not going to move forward with this candidate.
Okay, if you're doing reference checks, the person's already in motion. Sorry, Donna. See, that's what I said about when it's on video. You can see when someone wants to say something. It's easier to manage a group discussion. It's true. I used to be on audio, and I didn't know. You couldn't tell.
I'm just still stuck on 11 months later. I mean, that's a long time.
Well, they say it takes a while to tell. It can take 6 months to for the person to learn the job, maybe. And
we had a 90-day, and the guarantee was that we would do a free replacement, or there was I forget a percentage of the fee that get returned.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just do credit. You get a credit that never expires. So if you hire a guy from me and he doesn't work out in 90 to 180 days, I do 180 on retained. Then you can use that credit towards any search in the future. It never expires.
And we only did contingency.
Wait a second. Let me scold this guy, okay? He's sending me messages that I have to start. I say it's easy if I'm looking over here. I can see your faces. In this case, those chats, I have to look down there.
Backdoor references checks to open your company up litigation.
No,
100%.
Speak up. I invited you, okay? Don't drive me crazy. Or you can put those chats in for other people to look at.
Will you tag me in that post? Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backdoor reference checks is like, you can't do that, right? Like I did one time, found out that the guy was actually fired for sexually harassing a fat secretary. That was his words.
Bring up those sex things. I got to admit, I've never heard anybody else talk about it.
He was separated with the company under the guise of, I won't sue, she won't sue, but you have to give me good references. So I had kind of quasi found that out, but couldn't tell the client. And then the client did a back channel, found it out, decided not to hire the candidate, told me why.
So
I told the candidate,
you've got a time bomb and you can't tell anybody. Well, how does that help you? It makes things worse.
No, the client actually did the back channel reference check too.
Yeah, they did it on their own. You couldn't guarantee that they would. That was their own initiative.
That candidate sued his employer because that employer told that client of mine about that. You don't do them. You don't.
Yeah, you don't do them. We don't do them.
You just don't do them.
Internally, we don't do them.
But hold on, it makes it look bad for the recruiter. As I've said before, if they find out later on that this guy is a sexual harasser, and once it's out in the open, other people start coming forward and they're saying, "Look, Tommy placed this guy with me. The recruiter stinks." Okay, he should have known that. Just like everyone says, we all heard about Harvey
stuff happens, but you can't do back channel reference checks. You're gonna get sued. It's not worth it.
Yeah, okay.
I'd rather lose a client over it and be like, oh well, end of story, than be sued, errors and omissions insurance goes up, all that stuff. Like it's just not worth it.
Okay.
For one deal?
Okay. Does anyone ever tell a candidate you're not worth that much money? You say, well, what are your expectations? Look, he's nodding his head so vigorously. Tell the story.
I've been doing this for 20 years or 25 years, whatever it is, and I place guys like you all the time. You are not that the market will not bear what you're asking. I'm sorry. You just don't have the experience. You don't have your PE. You haven't designed this.
Yeah. I talked to somebody a couple fairly recently, and their price point was too high too. And I said, well, I know you're searching. So, I'll check back in with you a couple of weeks. Let me know if you find some people that are going to, entertain your candidacy at that level, because this is what I see. And yeah, I tell them.
Okay, but that's a different case. You have to pay more for a passive candidate, right? And Tom says many times, big fight. I look back at the June 14th, 2023 video. I posted some great clips from it. I couldn't remember how great it was. He doesn't like job
open to work. People are looking.
He likes passive candidates. Okay, and so you can't say, for a job hunter, okay, go ahead, try to get it somewhere else. Come back when you can't. With the passive candidate, it's a shrug. You're not worth it. Fine, I'll stay where I am.
I mean,
Right?
I just basically say, hey, you're making a lot more than the market bears. Stay where you are. I can't help you. Hey, look, it's great. You're interested.
But I also noticed just now that you use it to sort of, you put it off. Oh, the market won't handle that. Not like, I think you're overpricing yourself. You're not worth that much money.
Well, because
You're not
that's
worth that
rude.
much. Billy.
There's no basis in being rude, right? Even if the guy is now, look, if the guy tells me I want 150 grand and he's an EIT, I may say, dude, you're fucking losing it. What have you been smoking? Can you send me some? I may say something like that.
Those
but
words,
if it's
those words.
yeah. If someone is that out of the thing, yes, I will be obnoxious because
Donna,
I know there's no way I'm going to be
You're
able to
fucking
use them
losing it.
anyway.
Would you say that?
I don't use profanity in my daily life, so
I do,
probably
sorry.
not.
Yeah, we got that. Well, we got
Probably
Richie
not.
Rich. No fucking way. Mind you, when I confront him with that, he tends to soften it up. No
So-
fucking way. That's what I learned from him. No
If
He
fucking
it's a
gets
passive
excited when
candidate-
he tells his stories, but that doesn't mean it's what he actually
Maybe
says.
you're right about that.
If there's a passive candidate who's 10 or 20 grand out of the range, I'm not going to insult them, right? I'm going to say, hey, the market doesn't bear that, whatever. But if it's somebody who's ridiculously, either trying to like just get as much as he can or is being stupid, yeah, I'm gonna push back and call him dumb.
Could you actually detail it and say, listen, Tom, this is why I don't think you can get that much money. You're missing this. You've only got so much experience in that.
As long as their ask is not out of the realm, right? Like, and that's what I said. If an EIT who's making 60 tells me only move,
you always use the term.
I'm sorry, engineering training. He's not a PE yet. He's not a professional engineer, right? So he's not a PEng in Canada, right?
Okay.
So I may say to him, if he says he wants 120, I'm like, dude, what are you smoking? You're making 60, you want 120? Well, that's the only reason I'll move. Well, then you're staying where you are. Like, you're ridiculous. No, of course I'll say that.
I want to hear your lovely voice, David M. Marr. Just open the mic for a second, and you maybe even show us your face. You don't have to, though. Do you ever?
Ave Maria.
Do you ever tell anybody you're not worth that much money?
Yeah, you do have to give a reality check sometimes, especially when, let's say, somebody's right out of college and they expect to make what someone that's got 20 plus years of experience makes. It doesn't flow.
Yeah, I had to do it with great example. I had to do it with Naval Academy grads. The Naval Academy told them that their compensation package is worth $110,000, right? Because these are guys that went in the Naval Academy. They come out as captains, and they tell them they're worth 120 or 110. And no, right? The Navy's telling you something, and I appreciate that, but you're really only worth 85 or 90, and maybe you'll get a bonus. Because I placed a guy who was a Naval Academy grad, and you had to bring him down. I just had to be reasonable with him and explain to him the market. That was all.
I will go back and say one other thing, though.
Let me just compliment David M. Marr for showing his lovely office. I didn't think he had.
That was a background.
Oh,
Background.
it looked like something from the Southwest, or Santa Fe, or something.
That's what it
like
was.
I
It
will
looked pretty
say
good.
though, with
ahead,
that
Donna.
passive candidate thing, sometimes though they're right, and so even though maybe I don't think they're worth it, it's not what the market says. And one example I have is somebody that we hired, and she was passive. I reached out, I found her, and the hiring team really wanted her. And when she came back and countered the offer, and it was too much, I told her, I'm like, I don't think they're going to do this. Like, this is like way outside, blah blah blah. They did. So then I was wrong. So sometimes sometimes they're right and they deserve more.
That's a very good example, Donna. Sometimes how strong can you be? You're confident, but sometimes she'll come back to you and say, "Oh, good luck with your search, buddy," and he comes back and says, "Hey, Donna, you told me this and you were wrong. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
you tried to undersell me. You underestimated me. These recruiters stink." And then I'm going to post
well,
that on
hey, in
Twitter.
this case, I was still the one who got them the job, but I took it back, and I took it back to the team and said, "This is what they want. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but this is what they want." I was shocked when they did it. So,
Mhm.
I'll do everything I can to get you what I want. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, though.
mhm.
And again, we're talking about people. We're talking about maybe your client says 90 to 104, right? And they want 110,
That's the
115,
easier.
right? And yeah, but so it's just a matter. I'm not sure we can go that high. Your
Maybe we can work out a
experience is not
signing bonus.
exactly. You're missing this. that's how you handle that, right? But when someone is ridiculous, I want 160 and they're making 80. Yeah, you're an idiot.
Okay, we're going to finish off on, I guess, on a note that I think I disagree with most people on this. This apparently, I don't know if it was real or not. There was an ad posted on LinkedIn. We don't want people who get offended by salty language, people whose feelings get hurt easily, people who are not self-motivated, people we have to babysit. Now, to me, that's a nice, clear statement of culture. You will never see it laid out so clearly because they know that most people would not like that. They don't like hearing that. But in fact, once you get to a company, they might talk rough. Okay. Isn't it good to know that before you get in there, you leave your job, you join the company, and all of a sudden they're using a lot of swear words, and not just swearing like we do here, but in a malicious way, a very harsh, crude kind of language. Does anybody disagree with that ad, that kind of culture statement in the ad? I'm for it.
I guess it depends on the company and what you're trying to attract, right? Like I mean, in at face value, sure, fine, right? This is what our culture is. We're a bunch of, pot smoking hippies who tell, porn jokes all the time. Fine, right? But if you're a Fortune 500 company or something, no, right? Like there's got to be a balance.
Managers in Fortune 500 companies who don't have salty language and are
abusive. Yes, but you don't advertise that, and you don't do it to your brand new employees. You may realize that the people you're working with, I don't know, there's a time and place for certain things.
Does it sound like it's only for men? Some people would say it's sexist.
No. Some of the most foul-mouthed people on my last team were the women.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It wasn't me, but there was one every morning. It was F this, F that. And I was like,
I know a lot of women.
I had to start my day every day. It was miserable. Like I wouldn't like working there. I'd be like,
okay. I understand what that guy's trying to do, and it would just depend on if that's a sheet metal factory, fine, right? But if that's an office, IT office complex or something,
but it tells you a lot, right? So if you're the candidate trying to decide if you want to work there, it doesn't just tell you about their culture, but it tells you how they're willing to represent themselves to clients. It tells you a lot about the way they work. And if that's what you like, then go for it. And if that's not you,
very good point.
Nobody wants a candidate or a new hire they have to babysit. They just don't want to put it in.
No, this isn't babysitting though. You're not talking about the bad language and the saltiness. That's not babysitting.
Okay, well, that's also another thing they had there. We don't want to babysit you, okay?
They want you to hit the ground running. They don't want you to be a whiner. They want you to go with the flow, which is their flow, and they don't want to have to walk on eggshells around you. You just need to be okay with what's going on. And if you feel like you'll fit into that, then apply. And if you don't, then don't.
I wouldn't say babysit. I'd say self-motivated. Right, someone who can.
They also have that. We want someone who's self-motivated.
Yeah, we don't have to babysit. I wouldn't use that term.
But they're telling you they're offensive. Like they're telling you off the bat, we are offensive, and we're so offensive. We're going to say it this way. Yeah, I mean, and that's just and some people like that,
or really just straightforward.
No, I mean
it's straightforwardly offensive. It's
really we use offensive language here. We tell. Dirty jokes, and we tell racist jokes or whatever it is, right?
We don't.
No, that's not shooting from the hip.
We're unfiltered. How's that? Unfiltered? Is that good?
It's more than unfiltered because even my unfiltered parts are usually that ugly. I mean,
we curse. We curse. We yell. We say.
It's not just the cursing; it's the way they do it. You curse, Tom. Okay, if you want to call it cursing, that's not a word I ever use. But okay, you use strong language, but your attitude is not nasty. Okay. That's different. There's a
I've never and I don't use that language in an environment where I think it would be negative, right? If I had a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses and Scientologists or not LDS working for me, I'm not going to use that language. Know your audience. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you from heaven.
And is it really worth it? Let me ask you this question: in today's employment climate, is it really worth it to say, hey, look, we're a bunch of foul-mouthed people and prevent yourself from getting good quality candidates because you want to cuss? Like, is that makes your company good?
Hold
You
on
all
a
get
second.
to-
You want to be spend 8 hours a day with people, like Donna said. You don't have to want to work on
Yeah,
it.
I understand, but in
person I
today's
am.
economic
Uh,
climate and
you-
today's
you just to
employment
me.
climate, you're gonna say that it's more important that we get to be offensive and tell bad jokes and
Yeah,
than we are to build our company, to grow our company. I'll tomorrow I'd stop. I would never cuss again if I could get 5 recruiters each bill $500,000.
Okay, well, that's you're building a straw man case where the growth is so exponential. You know what? He's willing to change the way he talks to get big billers, but if someone wants to cheat him out of $10,000, so he
Threaten
goes
me,
back for
threaten me. If one of my big billers threaten me, I'll knock the shit out of them.
David
That's
and
so
Mar,
funny.
it's the end of the show anyway. Thanks everybody. It was great. I had a lot of fun. It went really fast too.
Yep.
Take care till next week.
Bye.
Bye.